Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacey. Real people, real issues, and real estate. We are joined in the studio today by a very special guest, realtor with their realty partners in Leominster, Brenda Albert. Welcome to the show, Brenda.
Thank you.
And Stacey's joining us for this segment as well. Stace, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And we have loan officer Brian Gallagher from Ross Mortgage just to round out the panel.
Good to be here.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the areas that you cover, Brenda? What's going on out in north central Massachusetts these days?
Well, I cover Westminster, Gardner, Fitchburg, Leominster, and the surrounding areas.
Westminster's a great town, and not just because myself and Brian grew up there. It happens to actually be a great place right now, real estate-wise, too, right?
Right. It's also where I grew up. Yes, it's a great place right now. It's consistently stayed marketable. Some great things happening with the school systems up there, and great access to the highway, bringing in the commuters. Route 31 is bringing in a commuter stop, which is helping that area.
Yeah, I heard that they're talking about running an express train out of there, and you can be in Boston at North Station in, 40 minutes? Something crazy like that?
Right. I'm not sure if it's the express train, but it is a train going into Boston. There's they're working on a parking lot right now on the corner of 31, so
yeah,
it'll give the people that are working in the city an opportunity to get into the city quicker and have the country living.
Yeah, so. And Westminster really is country living. Although when we were there, when we were kids, I distinctly remember, actually I think there was one stoplight, but it was only for a crosswalk across Main Street at Bacon Street, right?
Right, yeah.
But now you go to Westminster, and I won't call it a metropolis, but there's actual stores there, and
we have a Dunkin' Donuts.
There's a Dunkin' Donuts. Actually, isn't there two? Isn't there another one at the gas station?
We have two Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
yes.
8,000 people. That requires at least two Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right. Yep. No, some good things. We've also got the activity of Mount Wachusett, which brings in the skiers in the winter and hikers all the time. There's hikers up there on a regular basis.
Now, isn't something going on with the hotel in Westminster now?
Yes, the hotel has been purchased by a drug rehabilitation company, and they're going to be changing it as I believe at 1st of January into rehabilitation.
If you were a betting person, would you think that there's probably a chance that you'll see a hotel developed closer to the mountain?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of land that's owned by the hotel that's owned by the mountain up in that area, and there very well could be someday. I'm surprised
because I would be surprised because the hotel did pretty well just off the skiing and weddings and stuff.
Right.
So I'd be surprised if they didn't do something. I mean, my hope is that they end up building something up closer to the mountain.
There's a lot of land that the mountain still owns behind the hotel, so there could very well be something like right off in that area down the road.
The hotel was a little outdated, so I mean, I wasn't completely surprised when they sold it, but it is a beautiful place.
Yeah, it is very nice. But there's a nearby hotel that people can come into town and still stay close by, the Colonial Hotel in Gardner.
Oh yeah, I always forget about that. Very nice hotel.
Very nice. They cater to the mountain and have shuttles and get people back and forth. They have packages.
Yeah. And that hotel is almost, I mean, it's right on the line, right, with Westminster, isn't it?
Yes, right on the line. Yep, right off of Route 140.
Yeah.
It's a great place to go. Great dinners, restaurants. So if anybody's heading up in that area, it's a great great place to go.
And as far as the types of people that are looking at a place like Westminster, you see a lot of first-time buyers go there, or do they end up maybe over the line in, say, Hubbardston or Gardner or one of the other surrounding towns? Because I know Westminster's gotten I don't want to say expensive because it's not expensive relative to things on 495, but certainly a little pricier than you'd see in Gardner, for instance.
Right. Westminster's a little bit pricier than some of the surrounding towns. But what you do find is the younger couples that grew up in the area or grew up in the town, went through the school systems, they want to be there. They try to buy houses in the town. So if you can get $160,000, $170,000 house, then you're probably going to get a first-time buyer that grew up in town that want to stay there.
And is there a price point that low in Westminster right now? Or is it tough?
It's tough. There are a few every once in a while that are 150, 160, 170.
And what about Gardner? I mean, there's got to be some good deals there, right?
If people want to move into Gardner, they can get a real nice house like 120s, 130s. I mean, something that doesn't require a whole lot of work but older home, but they could get into a decent neighborhood for that 130 type number, high 120s.
A lot of multis in Gardner as well? Or?
Yes, multifamily opportunities there, more so than in Westminster. Westminster has very few multifamily opportunities.
And I don't want to put you on the spot, but rent, you hear everywhere you go, rents are going through the roof. Is that happening in Gardner? I mean, I know you're not going to be seeing Boston rents out in Gardner, but relatively speaking, are the rents increasing out there as well?
Yeah, they're about $800 on an hour, on a low end, and then they could be a little bit higher than that.
Wow.
Westminster's got some 800 also dollar type rentals that are
Studios?
Some of the studios smaller. You start getting into housing, and you're probably $1,200-$1,300 or more for a house rental in Westminster.
So it just makes sense to buy.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
So what about the surrounding areas as far as places to work? Would you say Westminster's more of a bedroom community still than anything else, or are there jobs out there as well?
We have some big employers that are in Westminster. We have Tyco, and we've got Aubuchon's and Raynor, and so we've got some companies that people do still live in town and are able to get some jobs there. And the Mountain does some hiring of locals people too.
Really?
But yeah, the biggest percentage of people probably do travel out.
Yeah.
And into the cities.
Yeah. How about the school systems in Westminster? Still top notch?
I'm an alumni of
so am I.
Oakmont, and we've got a couple alumni here. And
actually, Stacey, you're outnumbered 3-1 right now.
Yes, she is. Yeah. I personally have personal experience myself. My kids went through the school system, and I have nothing but good to say about it. It's a big draw to the area. Parents want to be there in the town because of the school system.
When's the last time you went to the high school?
Couple months ago.
Oh, okay. So you've seen it recently then. I went when my sister is much, much younger, and myself and other family members went, I don't know, it must have been 8 or 9 years ago. And I hadn't realized they redid the entire thing. When I went there, it was straight out of the 60s. I mean, they hadn't changed anything. And I could not believe what they've done to the schools in the last 10 years. It's just crazy.
Oh, the schools, they've done a great job. We, the setup is... Westminster and Ashburnham is regionalized, and the elementary school is K through 5, and then they go up to the middle school, which sits on the same compound as the high school. So they've got 6 through 8 at the middle school, and then 9 through 12 at the high school. So the kids regionalize at the middle school level. So the Ashburnham kids and the Westminster kids meet at that point. Yeah. And then they graduate together. So, and the classes are running 160 kids, 150 smaller classes. And
I think it was only maybe 100 in my graduating class, but that was more than 5 years ago, we'll say.
Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you, I'm more than you guys.
You're a little more than 5 years as well.
I'm well more than yeah.
So, getting back to Gardner a little bit, I know it's a good place to go if you're looking, if you're a first-time buyer, you're going to get some, a lot of bang for the buck. You actually had a really interesting listing out there recently. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I listed and sold the S.K. Pierce haunted house and on Broadway, West Broadway in Gardner. Beautiful property. It looks run down from the road, but it's just needs some help, and it's going to get that help from the new owner. It's 10 bedrooms and lends itself nicely to a bed and breakfast setup, which is in the plans. The current owner is planning to take the year to get the house up to where it needs to be to open it next fall for a month in October for haunted events. And at that point, he may be ready to open it for a bed and breakfast for people that are seeking that haunted house effect.
Now, do you know the backstory on what is supposed to be haunted? I mean, is it a toilet that just keeps flushing, or is it some big deal?
And have you ever had anything? Like, have you ever, in showing the property, had anything strange happen?
Yeah, did a ghost sign the listing agreement as well?
No. There's been different, the house was owned by S.K. Pierce, and a lot of the family members, some of the family members have come through and And in particular, what had happened to me was there was some children, I believe, that had died in the family.
Oh,
and
geez.
so when I've been to the house, there was a little ball in the bed. Then the ball wasn't on the bed, it was on the floor. Then the ball was on the stairs. Then the ball disappeared. Then the ball was in the closet one time.
This happened to you?
Yes.
Wow.
Several different times that I went to the house. So the house manager, I said, this is so bizarre, but I know no one else has really been around. I'm like, how can that ball keep moving? She says, oh, that happens.
And this is while you were there, like in one visit or between visits?
Different visits.
okay.
There's no reason why that ball should be off the
'Cause
bed.
nobody's in the
Because
house.
nobody's there. So the ball disappeared from the bed, and it was out in the hallway, and it just was in a different place. And then one time it wasn't even there at all. So I don't really know.
So it's cool haunted stuff,
Yeah.
not like scary
Yeah,
runaway
no.
screaming type stuff.
No.
Although if I saw that ball moving, I probably would have run out screaming.
No.
I'll be honest
If my
with you.
house was haunted, I would not have a ball in it. So I don't have to see that.
Yeah, minimize the chances for running into it, right?
They've
Well,
had table readings. They've had readings. I don't know how into this stuff everybody is, but anyways, through the readings, things have come through like that the prior owners really want the house to be enjoyed by families and kept in a nice way. So it's supposedly the people that are frequenting the house, the spirits are friendly and family and just don't want to leave the house.
So Casper type ghosts.
Yeah.
The good ghosts.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
It's too. I'm glad to see that somebody's actually going to rehab the place because
Yes.
over the years, living up in that end of town, you saw it go through various periods of being fixed up and then kind of falling back into disrepair again. It seems like there were a lot of attempts at bringing it back, but I'm glad to see that somebody's actually going to do something with the property. So that's good.
Yes.
So why don't we switch gears now and talk a little bit about buying and selling and the home buying process. One of the things we kind of talked about before we got started today is, sometimes buyers, especially first-time buyers, they can have, I don't want to say unreasonable, but less than practical expectations as far as what they're going to get for the money or what they can expect.
Right.
What do you run into out there, and how do you get people back to the middle of the road where they understand what they're going to get and what they're not going to get?
Right. Well, coming from the economy that we've come from the last 7 years that we've been through a tough economy, when I talk to buyers and they come in and they're looking for things like, oh, but I really have to have that granite and I really have to have this and have to that. We talk about things like, let's be practical and say, how long do you think you're going to live here? You guys have no kids right now. They may not even be married at that point, and so what their plans are. If they have solid jobs around here, they may not even have solid jobs, and they're possibly going to get transferred or want to live closer to the city. So if they share with me that, I don't know, but I don't want to pay rent anymore, and I really, want to do this. And it's like, okay, then let's talk about the fact that if you call me in 6 years and you want me to sell this house, we need to figure out that number is at least going to maintain what you're purchasing it for, so that you're not looking for that extra 20, 30,000 in the next 6 years. And then in the next 6 years, you're not going to put 20 or 30,000. So when we're looking at the property, can you live with some of these things and maybe do some sweat equity or not do it at all if it's livable? So
Right.
I've had a couple first-time buyers this year, and that's how it went. And the conversation when you have it with them is these buyers don't plan on staying there forever like our parents did in their homes.
Right.
They're going in there and they're saying, yeah, this will do till I have kids. Then I want to go to this town because I like this school system better.
Right.
So you just try to work with that first-time buyer to just lead them down a path of the financial benefit to it
Right.
all. Like, let's not overkill. Let's not go out there and pay top dollar for something when, in fact, let's pay $50,000 less. And
Yeah.
maybe it's not that perfect house you want to get in the end.
Right. There's nothing wrong with Formica countertops.
Right. Absolutely.
Especially if they're new Formica. They almost look like granite now anyways.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that kind of gets lost on people buying houses, and I'm sure you see the same thing, Stace, is that they want the best of everything, but you're not going to get the best of everything in the first house you buy. I mean, it's a starter home.
Right.
Most people end up staying there for what, 3 to 5 years?
Yep.
Maybe 6 on the outside, but and I think that's a good way of presenting it to people is don't look at what it has to have now. Save it for your next house. This is just to get in on not paying rent anymore, having the tax deductions, having something that's your own. And when you move up, then you can start looking at all those other things, because then you'll have the money to pay for them.
Right.
I also think that we don't live in our homes like we did 30 years ago. Like, I went home every day after school, but now most kids go to like daycare after school, and you spend so little time in the house. Like, I'm at my house a couple hours at night and then a little bit on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need like crazy upgrades or a massive house if you're never there. You're working and
Yeah.
Right.
doing other things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lifestyles have changed.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
they're both working,
It's
and
dual income households, and kids, it's rarer and rarer to see like a home where it's a stay-at-home mom or dad.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
And the kids are in 14 sports, and they're not home till 9
Yes.
o'clock
Oh,
at
tell
night,
me
and then they're
about
out
it.
all the weekends.
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, things have changed a lot.
Right. And you do have to be, you have to have good dialogue with that buyer, and you have to be able to ask the right questions. And I think that the 25 years that I've been doing real estate, I've gotten to a point that I can pretty much sit down with somebody and just ask those questions and say, where do you think you're going to be? What do you think you're going to do? And let's talk about, because I've seen people buy houses and then not be able to get out of it because of this economy we've just come from.
Right.
So now it's like, let's think differently. Do
Yeah.
you really need those things?
Right.
And let's pick one thing.
Yeah. Or they get so hung up on the price. You know, they buy the house next to a gas station because it saves them 20 grand, but they're not thinking how hard it's going to be to unload it
Right.
later.
Right.
Same thing whenever somebody tells me they want to look at 1-bedroom houses or finance a 1-bedroom house. I mean, those are tough to move again, aren't
Right.
they?
Unless you're going to sit there for a little while and
Yeah.
be okay with it,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, and that's okay. There's a buyer for everything.
Yes.
And there might be a buyer for that 1-bedroom house, but they just have to understand.
Yeah, you're not going to have a bidding war.
These are your challenges
Yeah.
when it comes time to sell.
Yeah. Well, Brenda, you did a great job. Thanks for coming on the show today. And anybody that's listening that's interested in buying or selling anywhere in the territories that Brenda covers, which is North Central Mass, Westminster, all the surrounding towns,
Yeah.
and even outside of that, you can reach Brenda at 978-621-3168. Again, it's 978-621-3168. Stay tuned. We've got more coming up after this.